Beloved heart, I invite you to sign up to my mailing list, and as a result of signing up, you will get a free gift. It's a 5D rebalance tune up of all the chakras, and chakras are my specialty. So I would love to gift you with this transmission that is filled with light language and codes to help you stay balanced and tuned up during these increased frequencies of energy of this ascension, this new earth frequency. So check out the links in the notes of this show. And I look forward to connecting with you. I am sending you love. This is the transfiguration of the new you. Hello, beloved heart. Welcome to another episode. I'm Monica Bermudez. I am the host for the podcast called Ascended Earth, the Transfiguration of the New Human. This episode is about the imposter syndrome and ways to shift it. So I will jump into the message itself and share some characteristics about it as well, and what others, exploring some of the psychological areas as well. So what is meant by imposter syndrome, and how do we overcome this? This is something I suffered in when I first started channeling and establishing my spiritual business. And I feel it's happening with some in the spiritual community. And there are times that I feel, but it's not as strong as it was, or used to be for me. So there are times and moments and times that I do feel that sometimes, but it's just not as strong as before. The imposter syndrome, and according to psychologists, is a psychological phenomenon, but it's also associated to the energy of things where individuals doubt their accomplishments and have a persistent fear of being exposed as a fraud, despite evidence of their competence or success. And people with imposter syndrome often feel like they don't deserve their achievements and attribute their success to external factors such as luck, timing, or help from others rather than their own abilities. From another perspective, though, the imposter syndrome is also about the energy of things, and it's connected to old sabotaging patterns playing out in the background. That is at the subconscious level, and sometimes playing like a broken record, as I have experienced for myself. And I'll get more into that. So it can affect anyone, regardless of their background, job level, or achievements. However, it is often prevalent in high achievers, professionals, and people in competitive fields, or people who always want to do so much and accomplish so much. When we touch into some of the perfectionism, both men and women experience this equally, although it was initially studied in women. And it does impact many light workers and starseeds when being called to step into the spotlight to contribute to their services and fulfill their soul contract. So this is where we can get sucked into this world of doubt. So some of the characteristics of the imposter syndrome include self-doubt, which is a constant questioning of your own self and your own capabilities, despite achieving success, and a fear of being exposed, a persistent worry that others will realize that you're not as competent as they think that you are. And there is this form of paranoia that goes with that. And I feel that's all tied into as well past lives, which I'll also touch into that too. Attributing to success to external factors, believing that success is due to external reasons like luck, timing, or other contributions rather than personal skills or hard work. And perfectionism, which is one of my biggest ones that I had to really overcome and shift in myself growing up. And there is this, fear of failure as well, because that's all tied into being perfect. And overworking, working too hard, working harder in order to prove that you're competent or that you're worthy of, the things that you have. So some of the most common types of imposter syndromes that can be seen are the person who is a perfectionist, as we touched upon that. And I suffered a lot from this growing up. I'm a perfectionist survivor. And this produces a lot of self-criticism and self-judgment in self. And then you have the expert who feels inadequate unless they know everything about a subject, constantly seeking more knowledge to feel competent. But knowledge is great. However, it's not everything. So if it's not applied with love, then it's nothing actually. It's not really worth it. Then you have the natural genius who believes that they should understand things quickly and easily and feels like a failure if they struggle to grasp a concept. And then you have the soloist who believes that they must accomplish everything on their own and feel weak if they must ask for help. And this was one of my biggest things, is that it was very hard for me to ask for help growing up. Well, a lot of that has shifted in myself with a lot of these old patterns that I had to really work on myself, and also seek, certain help from like spiritual mentors and coaches to help polish more of that in myself too. And I share this with you because with the intention of also like assisting you if you're going through some of this imposter syndrome as well. And then you have the one who's the super person who pushes themselves to work harder in order to prove their worth. Now, if we dig deeper into the energy of all these things, right, and getting into the subconscious level, the pattern, was really going on here. So here are some common energy things in relation to the imposter syndrome. And number one is the energetic imbalances. So this could be linked to the blockages in energy centers like your chakras, the solar plexus, most most in particular, because this one is about confidence, about self-esteem, but it's also about your own self-power. So if it's an imbalance, you may feel insecure and undeserving of your accomplishments, and also of this extreme working hard too. So, there's ways to start rebalancing that, and that is through healing and doing certain affirmations or declarations and proclamations to yourself. Or you can listen to my free gift of that 5D chakra rebalance. That's free. So if you haven't gotten it yet, check it out. And this should also help as well. My personal experience, though, with the chakra, the solar plexus in particular, I had dissolved a really big ancestral karmic that was playing out, that was actually sabotaging myself, and also, getting myself in the way of when I was trying to really step into my role to be this channeler and to establish my new business. And it was a big one that had to deal with a contract that I had to work hard in order to prove myself. And it was linked to the entire soul family, as well as all family, ancestry of all kind. And so when I really stepped into this firmness and I used the violet flame to really dissolve this contract, it's like I threw it into these sacred violet flames. And as soon as I did that, I saw like this explosion go. And I saw like these chains start to break across, all my soul family lineage and those who were connected. Now I was seeing all of this through my inner eye, and so my inner clairvoyance, and I also felt it, and I felt this complete lightness, because what was happening is that in my solar plexus I could feel that something was really building up, and it was an energy buildup, that something was wanted to just pop or just be complete and be done. And it was a bit painful, even though it was just the energy of it that was, I was feeling in the solar plexus, but it was just so uncomfortable. It was like this feeling of great doubt, of, lack of confidence and unworthiness that was all tied in to this one karmic pattern or cycle that I must have signed up to for long time through my ancestry karmic lineage, even through the soul family contracts. And the minute that I did that, I felt so much lighter, and everything just started to come into place. And so I could feel more of drawing more my own power back to myself. So that was, my personal experience with that. So, yes. So this has a lot to do with the imposter syndrome as well. Now, the second thing that also is happening with all of this is that it's the intuition versus the ego. So, you have this conflict between the two, and the ego will create this fear and this self doubt, whereas intuition knows your worth and purpose. And I do feel like some of the ego is also tied into the solar plexus as well. So, the best way is also to, do like number one, doing your own practice of energy clearing and dissolving as well, and being very mindful to what those patterns are for you. But also tapping into your own heart's wisdom and tapping into your own higher guidance of information that you already have within yourself. Doing like mindful meditation or conscious, type meditation to really quiet your self doubt and embrace those innate abilities within yourself. And the third thing that could also be a part of this, or that is a part of this, are soul contracts and life purpose. So there is a part of us that is also tied to our soul journey, that we say that this is, part of our own spiritual growth. A lot of us who are here on earth have chosen certain challenges in our life so that we're able to catalyze and align ourselves to that higher purpose in a much stronger way through our human form. And so when we choose, we come into this lifetime, part of our purpose is also to clear and complete certain karmic cycles, like the one experience that I had. And I feel that was a really big part on this path that I said that I would do and complete for this lifetime. So a lot of us, light workers and starseeds, have chosen certain challenges for that reason to complete those patterns now, because we are stepping into this 5D energetic shift of energies of higher frequencies, where we are dissolving, or it's becoming much easier for us to dissolve certain karmic and ancestor patterns within ourselves. So this is our time to really be clearing a lot of that and using the energies to support us with that, because we're in that new state of this 5D frequency, a higher frequency of energy that we're getting into, because not in actual physical location, we're still going to be present in these bodies and still embodying like all these higher frequencies of light codes, is that we're meant to be lighter. We're not meant to be holding these heavy sabotaging energies from these, patterns that may have been buried at the subconscious level, karmic cycles, ancestral cycles, you name it. Which brings us to the next point about past life influences. So, some of this is tied to past life experiences where we may have experienced failure, rejection, or trauma in those lifetimes. And these are like unresolved energies, but I also call them distorted energies. And so they have a tendency to resurface due to the heightened energies at this time. And so self-doubt keeps, coming up constantly. And what can help too with this is past life therapy, or also like spiritual healing practices that resonate for you. And since these energies are at the quantum level, the more time, the more that time seems like an illusion. So it's like past, present, and future no longer exist, but are simultaneously playing in this quantum field. Like they're almost together, at the same. It's like it's not in this linear level type way, right? I can feel that these past versions of myself are still playing out now. And this means that, what this means is that we have greater access to our past self for healing and completing those cycles as well. So, and the next part involves a combination of how we talk to ourselves, right? But also being mindful, being aware of how it is that we are communicating to ourselves. Are we self-criticizing ourselves? Are we self-judging ourselves? And what is it that we're saying to ourselves that we're putting ourselves down? And so these, which ties into our own like belief systems as well. If we have these self-belief systems that are limiting us, be aware of what those are and start to really, challenge it in your own way. And so that's where we jump into the shadow work of things and being able to confront these aspects of ourselves, having the courage to do so. And the more that you have that courage to do so, the more that you're stepping into your own self-empowerment, because these shadow aspects are really a big part of us as well. And it's about integrating those shadow aspects with us. So uniting those two energies and acknowledging that it's there and starting this whole process of, shifting into these other aspect of your own empowerment, which is going to now jump into the next section of overcoming and shifting your imposter syndrome, which, it involves aligning your energy, tuning into your intuition, healing past traumas, and embracing your soul purpose. So, as we begin to conclude this episode, I would like to highlight the top 6 ways to shift this imposter syndrome. And, this is to practice acknowledging your achievements, reframing negative thoughts, sharing your experiences with others, and recognizing, occasional self-doubt that is normal. So imposter syndrome is not officially classified as a mental health disorder, but is widely recognized as a common experience, particularly in professional and academic environments. Overcoming this, imposter syndrome requires a combination of self-reflection, reframing of thoughts, and taking actionable steps to shift your mindset and the way you feel from the heart. So here are the top 6 ways to do so. Number 1, acknowledge your feelings. So it's normal to feel like an imposter sometimes. Recognize that many people, even high achievers, experience this type of syndrome, and you're not alone at feeling this. So it doesn't mean that you're unqualified. And having this feeling like an imposter syndrome doesn't mean that you are one of those, imposters. These thoughts often come from self-doubt and not from objective reality. And you want to challenge your negative self-talk and self-criticism of yourself. Acknowledge that you've earned your achievements for a start. Reflect on your accomplishments and skills and write down specific successes to remind yourself that you deserve to be where you are. Even if you're starting out with your own channeling, trust that those achievements come from your higher guidance. There is a level of wisdom you hold that also comes from past experience, past life experience, where you have gained expertise in and greater wisdom that comes through your Akashic records. So as I talked before about time being an illusion where past, present, and future are already playing out, you can also access that inner wisdom within yourself, within that quantum field, or, the Akashic records. There is a short clip video from Billy Carson that talks about DNA being a storage of information, and it's a huge amount of storage of data that can be held. The scientists are also proving that it's so. In particular, George Church, where he did experiments to store a whole ebook into 1 gram of DNA. And the DNA and what he discovered was that the DNA can upload and download information. And so what they're saying is that we as human beings can store up to like 13.5 billion years roughly of data. So the secrets of the universe are stored in our body through these atoms. And that's what scientists are discovering right now. So this is really amazing. We're talking about quantum field here. Hence, we are a storage of wisdom already in us. And I will post this short video clip in my Facebook group. So if you're not part of it yet, come join that group. You should find that in the contact information. But this is amazing stuff. And when you put all of this into perspective, you can say you're already an expert because it's engraved in your DNA. So perfection is not a standard, for success. Reframe the idea that you have this flaws, that you have to be this flawless. Mistakes and learning are part of our growth, so do the best you can. The third thing is that talk about your accomplishments, right? Share your successes with others. And often people with imposter syndrome downplay their achievements and open up what you have accomplished, which can help normalize it in your mind. So when I was talking about myself, when I was setting up my business and I was doing all this channeling, it was very hard for me to even talk about myself, about the things that I'm doing and, what I've been experiencing. But now, I'm just trusting more of my own higher guidance and just being with it. So, that's an important key to take away from that. So the fourth thing is to shift your focus from yourself, focus on contributing rather than proving. So as you're being a vessel of service, focus on that service and the vessel being a service rather than trying to prove yourself and worrying, how others are going to see you. Shift your attention how you can help or bring value to the situation. And what matters is progress, right? Not perfection. And the fifth one is reframe failure as learning. So it's also a matter of perspective, right? It's shifting your perspective into these areas. So as you are like framing it and looking at things, that failure is part of the process, right? We learn from it as well. That's how we grow. Everyone makes mistakes and they're a natural part of our learning growth. And I feel just being here in this human life, human experience here on this earth now, especially feels like an experiment, right? So we're really just experimenting. So why not just ease it up and do the best you can, right? It's all a learning process for us. So progress is more important than perfection. Celebrate the small wins. Step forward rather than expecting constant success. So as you make certain like little achievements here and there, whether they're big or small, and that's all a matter of perspective as well, just celebrate them and just be grateful for that as well. So the final thing is to develop a stronger heart and mind coherence and practice self-compassion. So putting these two together, right, and start setting that intention of connecting the two together, of your own heart and mind coming together and being with it. And also at the same time, be compassionate with yourself, be kind to yourself, and that's also where you start to ease some of the self-judgment and self-criticism. And some of this, involves also self-care for yourself and giving yourself a break when you need to. So remember to celebrate those wins and achievements as you go along and learn from things that you feel are made a mistake. So final thoughts on all of this, as to conclude. You belong where you are, and you are exactly where you need to be at this moment. Keep reminding yourself that you're worthy and you deserve to be in an abundant and joyful state. It is our divine right to be so, and we declare it to be so. Keep making the declaration to yourself and don't settle for less. So this combination of self-compassion, cognitive and heart reframing, and focusing on growth will help you shift your imposter syndrome into a worthy light worker and starseed who is standing in your own power. So that is the message for today in this episode. And I want to thank you so much for your time, for listening to this, and for being here for my podcast, as we are in the 100s now. And so that's something that I wanted to celebrate and express my gratitude as well. So I will catch you in another episode, and I am sending you so much love. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to click like, save, and share with others so they can also experience what you just experienced. And stay tuned for some more high vibe episodes. And I'll be connecting with you in the next quantum field. Sending you so much love.